It's the Agribusiness Report. I'm Tony St. James, and we're joined today by the Honorable Dr. Jim Baird. He represents the 4th Congressional District of Indiana and is a member of the House Ag Committee. Great to see you.
Great to see you. Always enjoy your conversations. And perspective.
We have had the opportunity to visit, I think, since you were a freshman.
That's
here.
true.
Looking back, how's your time in D.C. been?
It's been interesting from the standpoint of agriculture. You know how devoted I am to making sure that farmers and ranchers have the tools that they need and minimize the amount of government that we, have in regulatory affairs on them. But agriculture to me, and you and I have talked about this before, is the foundation of the country, really, and it gives us food security and really in the rural areas provides that initial funds that turn over in a community so that small towns and the agricultural area can be progressive and support the country. So I've really been excited about doing that.
And of course we're inching closer to a farm bill, but that hits so many different Americans. Obviously it hits ag, but it hits your rural communities as well.
Absolutely. And the farm bill, we're going to mark that up tomorrow, so that'll be the first step in the process that we've had that makes a movement in that direction. We need a farm bill. We're concerned about risk management. We're concerned about providing those kind of support for our farmers and ranchers when they go through difficult times or whatever. So then the crop insurance is definitely an important part of that, such that lenders are concerned. When we're getting into $1,100, $1,200 an acre in a crop of corn or soybeans in that $800, $900, somewhere in that vicinity, it doesn't take very long for those funds to add up and be of concern. And so lenders get concerned, and you need financing to help make sure that that farmers and ranchers have the access they need to do the job that they do. And you got to give them credit for being positive, even under various circumstances. But the farm bill, back to your question, the farm bill, I'm excited about some of the things that we've got in there. It ought to be of assistance to farmers and ranchers, and not only farmers and ranchers, but also the agribusiness industry. And when you take the land-grant universities and tie that with agribusiness, and you tie that with producers that are very knowledgeable and capable, all of that, including equipment manufacturers, we have the ability to raise tremendous quantities and quality of products in this country. And so those commodities, the 12 titles in the Farm Bill, first one being commodities and the second being conservation. I'd like to make a comment about that in a minute, but on the commodities, and we even have, they call it soft diplomacy. We use ag commodities around the world, and not only just to promote peace and to help other countries, but also I have said many times that we have in this country the ability to produce quality products in large quantities, and we're able to logistically get those quality products to countries around the world. And so you got to be proud of our producers, our agribusiness people, the logistics people for moving that kind of a product and get it to. And what that really does is when you get to those other countries and they have the quality products that we can produce, then they increase or improve their standard of living, and they want to continue that. So that's a real deterrent to adversaries like we see some of the stuff going on in the Middle East. If we can help people maintain a food supply for their families and so on, that's extremely important, I think. So,
there's some who say we have to. It's hard to produce at these prices. It's below the cost of production. Has the investment in science and research helped us in increasing our production and the quality of that, and how important just is science to this?
That to me is an excellent question, because science, just like agriculture forms a foundation in rural communities, I think science is the base behind that, because you have to have the science and technology. And these other countries like China are really pushing forward with their research and development. And so for us to be a leading nation, we need to make sure that we keep our support for research and development on the forefront. And one example of that is the Chips and Science Act at Purdue University. And Purdue is a very important and an integral part. I'm biased because I'm Purdue, but anyway, they're an integral part of our agricultural industry in Indiana and across the country. And so I started to talk about the Chips and Science Act that has been established at Purdue, and they have a curriculum for teaching students on how to make these chips and so on. And so we have industries that are moving in the research area in around Purdue and West Lafayette that want to get into manufacturing chips and so on. So that takes that supply chain and makes it available to or on board in our country. And I think that is a very helpful situation. We do not need to be overly indebted to some of our adversaries and in these supply chains, and so that is a real plus for the state of Indiana and for Purdue University. And so that goes back to your question about research. And then you have to admire the agribusiness and the research that they do. So you couple that research with the research that's done at the land-grant universities, and then the United States has 11 basic research labs, and through the coordination between them and the land-grant universities and agribusiness, it's amazing the kind of technology that we have available and the research that we can do. But we need to emphasize that more, because I think China's outspending us maybe 2-3 to 1, and so we need to make sure that we enhance and stay ahead and become a leader in these areas of research and technology and the implementation. And when you look, we have some corn in Indiana that's already over 18 inches tall, I would guess, and there's some soybeans that are at least in that 4 or 5 inch bracket. And so, considering the rains we've had in some areas, that's exciting. And
well, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think to tie all of this together, you're growing a crop that quite possibly will not stay in the U.S. So trade is a two-way street. We don't want to have to rely on another country for things like chips, but yet we also want to make sure we have open markets for our grains. So how do you manage that? How do you balance that?
that's an excellent point too, because you mentioned the fact that I tell people that we have to eat all of that. As you fly over the Midwest and any of the production areas in this country, we have to eat all of that every year. And I use that just to illustrate the point. But the point is, we do need trade, and so that's why in the Farm Bill, the market access program, as well as the foreign market development, that's important that we get the producers and our trade representatives to express what we're capable of doing and what we have available, and to move these products to move to other countries. And we were talking about China a minute ago, and I don't want to focus on that except to say that that's kind of a double-edged sword. We want to maintain that relationship in terms of trade, because there are so many people that they utilize a lot of our commodities, and so that's an important part. So that balance between that and what China is trying to do on a global scale makes it a very challenging situation. So that means to me that we need to make sure we support other market opportunities, whether that be Asia or India or other countries. We need to make sure that we're providing them the appropriate information and the products that we have available, and have a solid interaction with them.
It's so good to see you. I always enjoy the opportunity to catch up with you.
Same
Can we
here.
do this again?
Absolutely.
Let's not
I
wait a
enjoy
year,
it.
though.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'll be back soon. How's
That
that?
sounds good.
He's also the chairman of the subcommittee in the Ag Committee that handles biotechnology, Dr. Jim Baird. The honorable member from the 4th Congressional District of Indiana. And from Washington, D.C., I'm Tony St. James. This is the Agribusiness Report.